Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
How do you review a game that you haven't played very much? To be very honest, the Game of Thrones, the LCG game, I will readily admit I haven't played that much. What I have played of it is fine. It's a very solid game and a very popular game. Good enough that it got a second edition. And I question myself, would that be the case if it wasn't based on Game of Thrones? And let's be clear, it's based off the Game of Thrones literature and not so much the show. So be aware of that. And I wonder, I think a lot of these LCG games are built around the theme, and that's what they're really selling is the theme. Here's a couple things. I don't have 4 players, and I feel like this is really strong as a 4-player game and not so strong as a 2-player game. And what I need is 4 players, myself included, who really want to dive into a game like this and play it a lot. And that's why I think some of the LCG games, at least in my circles, tend to do a little bit better when they're solo. Because getting 4 people who know this game and know a branching of it and are willing to invest in it can be tough for a lot of people. 2 is just an easier number to get to the table with these kind of card games that it has so much content. You see something like Magic, it's a one-on-one, right? I think it's just easier to find somebody else to play against. When you start getting to 4 players that need to get into it, it's just very difficult. And it's very difficult for me, I'll readily admit that. I think what you have here is a very strong game. I wasn't able to have the group in order to get to the table enough to really say that. What I do like is that it brings to life the Game of Thrones universe. I feel like it really does that. I feel like it's strong. The artwork, the components, the whole package kind of brings it in. But due to player count, I just couldn't get to the table enough, and I think that's worth mentioning in a review. Another negative to the game is that it has a steep learning curve. Just know that you're going to be learning terminology, and this is more of a lifestyle game, and that comes into the LCG model, right? So it does have a steep learning curve, and if I'm really good at the game and I'm playing somebody new, I'm probably going to squash them. That's just the way the nature of the beast is going to be. It's also an expensive game to get into. If you want to start and you want to play the core game, that's fine, but the core game is not going to be enough. You're going to need to add in these expansions. So even though the core game may be adequately priced, you're going to quickly get into a situation where you're dumping a lot of money into this. Now, that's more of a problem with the LCG than the Game of Thrones card game itself, but this is an LCG, so I think it's worth being noted. As for the game itself, I feel like it's a very strong card game. If you're looking to get into an LCG and you have multiple people to play for, this is probably the one to get. There's some really unique things going on here. It really brings to life the universe that you're looking for. It may bring in non-gamers too. This game may be too much for them, but I feel like the foundation for a very strong card game is absolutely there. For me, it's going to be a Purge, but I don't necessarily mean it as a negative review. I think people are really going to enjoy this. Here's the Game of Thrones card game. This is an LCG by Fantasy Flight. You can see it's not going to be based on the show, so if you're a big fan of the show, this is going to be based off more on the literature with unique artwork that you're going to get on the front there. You're going to get a rule book, which I found pretty good. I did download some errata and stuff to go with this. Here is the official rules clarification. They have an official one, so this is going to be expected with an LCG, I think. Now, I've boxed up each of the houses into their own plastic stuff. I recommend doing something like this because you definitely want to keep the house cards separated or some sort of way to organize it, which didn't come with the box. You're going to have a house card, and you can kind of see the artwork here is very unique. It is designed just for this game. You're going to have cards. The card quality is okay. I mean, it's not the best I've ever seen in my life, but you're going to be getting a lot of these cards as the game progresses. So they are just all right. You're going to get some tokens, and these are going to be a little bit small, but that's okay because you're just using these to count up things. And you're going to get your coins, which will be cardboard also. And these little plastic things, these are so overproduced, but very nice. You're going to get a bunch of these. As you can see, they will do different things. These have been painted up just a tad here. You can see they're kind of gray. And then you're going to get a board underneath that you will have. Take a look at this. And just be a little cardboard board that you can put the stuff on it, and this will sit down in between the players. So the components are fine. I think these are a little bit overproduced for what they are, but they're very much appreciated. So the components are okay. Here's the rule book that you're going to see. You're going to have a picture of all the components and kind of an explanation of what they're going to do, the card types, etc., which is really nice, especially for an LCG. You're going to have a great reference point that you will have here. You're going to have the setup over there. And then a round sequence. Here's what it looked like, your own personal area. and you'll go through each of theirs. Now, a lot of this game is played simultaneous, which is nice. A couple of these, like the marshalling, you're going to have to do one at a time, and then the challenges, of course, which is the main game, and then how to win. And then from here, it's going to just explain things. You're going to have the support, other game concepts, some bigger world things. You're going to need an LCG, how to get the decks created, what certain words may be limited, no attachments, and things like that. And then as you go through some little variants that you can have in the game, and then the world champions, of course, and then a lot of advertisements for the different stuff that you can buy for this game. This game is all about buying more stuff. The rulebook is okay. It's not fantastic. Anytime you have an LCG, you know, there are going to be rules questions, especially when cards come out. I printed out the official rules clarification with the FAQ and the errata. You can see it is pretty large. Now, this isn't just for the base game. This is just for pretty much everything that's going on. But, I mean, this is going to be rules stuff. This is going to be a game that you're going to have to know the rules for pretty well. And you're going to want all 4 people to know them fairly well when you sit down to play. The game is pretty easy. You're going to choose a house. In this part, we'll have House Stark, which this will be a reference card, which will have the turn on it. You just kind of set that down to signify that you are the Stark family. Then you have a few different cards that you're going to have, and here's a character, here's a brand that costs to play it, and then kind of what you'll do with it as you're going through. You're going to have army cards you can put out. There's the guard. You're going to have some location cards. Here's a Winterfell Castle that you can place out. No attachments. You're also going to have attachments, which are items or weapons, and you would attach this to a character. Say like Bran would have the ice. Here's Ghost. You can see event cards, lethal counteract. So you can have 3 or 4 different types of cards that you'll have in here, and each one will have a cost in the top left corner. That's really what's important. You're also going to have your plot deck, which you'll be playing throughout, and this will kind of guide you on what you're trying to attempt as you play the game. So you're going to have your deck of cards, you're going to have your plot cards, and you're going to have your house cards. Now, to start the game out, you're going to draw 5 cards, and you can play 5 coins worth of stuff down. So let's say I wanted to maybe do Hodor. I want to get Ben Stark out, and maybe that's all that I want because that's all that I have. And then I would draw back up to 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm ready to start to play the game. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your plot deck, and you're going to flip one of these over at the beginning, and this will kind of give you some direction on what you want to do. Limit 1 per plot deck. When revealed, kill all characters on play. So he would come in, kill all characters who happen to be at the play. At the beginning of the game doesn't really have any effect. And then that would be kind of the plot that you're trying to play towards at the beginning of this game. Now, the player who has initiative will choose first. You get to pick one of these titles that you'll have. Each one will have a different power that will be associated with, which I'll go through in a little bit. But you'll pick one of these, and players will kind of draft these. And this will be your title or power for the round that you'll kind of have, and everybody will have one each round, and each round it will change depending on what your strategy is or what you're trying to do for the turn. You have a hand of cards. You also draw 2 more to give you a few more cards to play for the round. And then this is where the main game will happen. This will be called what's called marshalling. And players will, everything up to this point has been done simultaneously. At this point, you'll slow down and go in turn order. And basically, you can play as many cards as you want. I'll play all my cards if I'm first player, then the second player will play all theirs, and then the third player. But basically, you just pay the cost of a card. You either have characters, events, or you may have attachments that you want to put to people. And you would just pay the coinage that are listed on it and to put these into play. And that's kind of how you do that. So everybody will be able to do that, get the cards out they want to play, pay the cost of those associated, and then the marshalling phase will be over. Then the main thing is you're going to be able to challenge. You're going to have 3 different challenges that you're going to be able to do. You can do a military challenge, you can do an intrigue challenge, and a power challenge. So player 1 will do all 3 of their challenges. You can challenge as many people as you want, which is very easy. You'll take certain people into the battles. Let's say you're doing an attack. You'll add up your strength of those characters versus the defending person. If you have the higher strength, then you will win. If you use somebody, you kneel them, which is just tapping them out. And that's going to be important in the last phase. So you'll do these 3 challenges to people, which is fairly easy to do. Now, if you want a military challenge, you can kill somebody, which is getting them off of the board, right? So you'll be able to destroy them. With the intrigue challenge, you will get people to discard random cards from their hand. And for the power challenge, you're able to take these power tokens from your opponents and put them on your plot card. So those kind of 2 things you do. Military is kill. Intrigue is getting cards out of their hand, which can be very beneficial. And then the power, which is getting the power tokens and kind of stealing them from them and putting them on your plot cards. Then what you'll do is you have the dominance, where you count up all of your attackers, or all of your characters rather, who haven't kneeled for the round, i.e. they haven't been used, plus any gold that you have. And whoever has the most wins dominance and will get a victory point. Then you get taxed. All your money that you have for the round is sent back up to the general supply, so you don't keep it from round to round. And you check for the victory condition. If you got 15 house points, 15 victory points, then you're the winner. If not, you do the whole round again. Very easy game to play. That's just a general overview of what you're doing in this game. You will untap these between rounds, and you'll be ready to set up and play again. The whole thing over, drawing a plot card, and continuing on this cycle to get your 15 house points. Who should buy this game? I think it's going to be fans of the theme. So if you like Game of Thrones, especially the literature, I think you're going to enjoy this more. You're going to need to have a gaming group of 4 people who are willing to commit to this game. It's absolutely going to be needed. And I think that you need to kind of be on equal gaming levels in order to enjoy this one and be willing to get the extra decks. It's going to be kind of costly to get into this. So that's who I would look for. For me, it's going to be a Purge, not something I want to dive into anymore. I'm finding myself getting farther and farther away from these type of games. For me, it'll be a Purge.